What's up? Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. What's up, Bears fans? Adam Hoge alongside Kevin Kaduk today filling in. No, we are not wearing the same shirt. Pretty damn close, though. That's okay. That happens here at CHGO.
Dope merch.
Does that happen like once a day, twice a week?
A little too often. I feel like we should have a T-shirt schedule.
It means we need more shirts, I think.
Yeah, I think we need more shirts.
We're going to have we've got the summer sale going on right now at CHGO Locker, 25% off. I know a lot of our staff is taking advantage. A lot of our readers and listeners are as well. So I think we're going to have a better flow of T-shirts, a better mixture.
Wait a minute. Our staff's taking advantage of that?
Yeah.
Why? We could get 50% off.
We get 50% off of this 25% off.
Oh, wow.
So,
well, that's why. That's the answer. Okay, that makes sense. Here I thought that was silly to only get 25%.
I left the house today under explicit instructions from my wife to not buy any more T-shirts. Yeah. Got here, bought another 3, and then you walked in the door with some free Hoge and John's T-shirts, so I went over there and helped myself. So she is SOL.
I stopped by the Obvious Shirts store on the way down here, said hi to Joe and Devin and the crew, and walked out with a giant thing of Walking Bear shirts for people here at CHGO. So
nice. You're a benevolent coworker.
Okay, thank you. That was a big word to start the show.
I know, that was like,
we're not used to that
here
on this
word?
one.
Yeah. I can't see. I got the camera right in front.
I know.
of
There's
us.
like a
hi.
It's okay. Maybe it's better this way. It's
Yeah.
probably better that you can't see me.
Eh.
That's usually what most people think.
Sure.
Welcome in. We have Lawrence back on. People have missed you the last couple of days.
I don't know why, but okay.
I mean, people were worried. They were tweeting at you, calling your parents, I think. They wanted to know you were okay. You were just working on other shows, I think.
Yeah, just don't tweet at my parents is what I would say.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I think my mom has a burner. I'm not sure of that, but I think so.
We have to trust me, we're going to talk Bears, but Kevin and I are both Wisconsin Badgers, okay? And Kevin alerted me to something last night.
Yeah.
That could not wait. It has to be the start of the show. Would you like to? You were the one that wanted to attack this.
I saw this on social media. Someone, a college football site, did top 50 party schools, and they put Wisconsin 23rd.
Yeah, which is just wrong to begin with. But
we are in between Maine,
who's partying
and
at
Blue
Maine?
Mountain State, which I have honestly never heard of until
Isn't
right
that
now.
just a TV show? Is that a real university?
Is it?
I don't know. I thought that was a TV show.
Okay, are we sure that this is not just? I swear that there are these companies that just put these like a rankings graphic out there on Twitter just to outrage people. Like they purposely.
I think that's what this is, right? I mean, we as Bears fans, we know that a lot of national outlets, if they want engagements, they'll just do something to piss off Bears fans because nothing mobilizes anger like saying the Bears suck. I think that's what it is here because there's no way if you look at who's in front of the Big Ten schools alone in front of Wisconsin, you've got Illinois at 15. Like Champagne's not great. Like that's pretty much a frat party scene in a couple crappy bars. You've got Indiana, which I've never really partied at.
This thing's fake. Blue Mountain State's not a real school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I don't know why you're talking about it. It's a stupid company that put it out.
Well, hold on.
You're
Iowa City's number 8, so you don't want.
I don't care. I don't go there. And even if I did, what does it matter?
You
what
did go
ranking
there.
it is?
You did party there.
Yeah, and I did a good job at it. But how does that affect what I do with partying? It doesn't matter if I'm 8th, 18th, 28th. Who cares?
Penn State is number 6. Top 5, Alabama, West Virginia. I've heard good things about West Virginia. Arizona State, also good things. Tulane, then Georgia. But there's just no way Wisconsin's.
BYU being at 13.
Do you remember, like, when you used to go for student orientation at Madison, they would say there was once a ranking of party schools in Playboy, and they didn't rank Wisconsin, and the reasoning was we don't rank professionals with amateurs. Do you remember that? That was like the one
but
line.
That's awesome. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So that's what they should have followed here.
Okay. Well, I feel better knowing that this whole thing was fake because Blue Mountain State's not a real place.
What is it? Is it?
It looks like it's a TV
show.
So I'm going to stand down. I'm going to stand down on this one. The real ones, no. Nick Moriano, by the way, who is off for a couple days, by the way. That's why he's not here. He went off to Philadelphia. So if you're in Philly, you can find him there.
Oh, jeez.
I've never heard of anyone saying they vacation in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Okay, Joakim Noah.
Yeah, I know. That was like Joakim, but at like 600 miles.
I've been waiting all morning to say that. Sorry.
You prepped that one? Okay.
I have to say, I've been to Philly many times for work. And
it's a nice town.
Is it? I don't know.
Would you take your family there on a vacation? I mean, I guess you go to Constitution Hall. Is that what it's called? The Rocky Steps would be cool.
You go to Jim
Are those
Steaks.
steps cool?
Jim Steaks.
Yes.
And it just burnt down. The one on 9th Street just burnt down.
Everyone in Philly just goes to Philly cheesesteaks.
They're delicious.
And I know like Chicago's reputation for pizza, but people come to Chicago for other things too.
Right. I feel like Philadelphia is probably a Kaduk family stop if we're on a road trip on our way to somewhere else. We're spending an afternoon there.
See, I just skip all of Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, quite frankly. Just the whole state.
It's very hard to if you're driving east because
I know
it's a gigantic state.
Usually you're driving 5 hours through the state, but if you can avoid it, I highly recommend. All right. Let's jump into some Bears talk here, and we're going to have some fun with Hard Knocks too, because it's been a great season of Hard Knocks, and we're going to try to relate it to the Bears. Bears too scared to do Hard Knocks. They just don't want to do it. But we'll get into that a little bit later. First of all, we do have some practice stuff to talk about from yesterday. I was there, and just a couple observations real quick. So Matt Eberflus comes out and says, this is going to be like a game week. Okay, we're doing a mock game week. And then training camp technically ended Sunday's practice. Monday was an off day. So this Tuesday practice that was yesterday.
Right.
It's typically your first game week practice. And in the NFL, you'll put pads on sometimes on Wednesdays, but not always. Some teams do it differently. But for the most part, once camp ends, you're not wearing pads a whole lot in practice in the NFL. Well, not only are the Bears in pads, that practice yesterday was intense. It was very, very physical. So I'd like to know, is that going to be somewhat of the norm in the regular season even?
Yeah.
Since they're doing a mock game week, or is this really just because they're trying to keep the momentum going from camp? But that was a tough physical practice. A lot of guys on the ground. There was a couple times where some of us in the media bleachers were like, are they going live right now? Or did they just hit him that hard that he fell down? I thought it was very interesting. And my takeaway, which I put in my newsletter that came out this morning, was the days of babying these players are over. Any babying that was going on under the last regime, that is over.
And I think you can see why Matt Eberflus kind of really got into George McCaskey's head and was able to really kind of sell him on that, because in Chicago we eat that sort of physicality up. And I think as a fan base we eat that up. And it's good to see. But at the same time, how long can this last? You can't do that every Tuesday if you're going to get through a 17-game schedule, right? Mm-hmm. We're already seeing a lot of players banged up and injured. And right now we don't. We're going to talk about the wide receiver situation going into this game against the Browns. Who's going to play? We don't know.
Yeah,
everyone's hurt.
And that's one of the things we have to talk about, because I still feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions with this team right now. But I guess where I'm going with this with the practice, I liked seeing that yesterday.
Right.
I liked sending the message, okay, it's a mock game week, but preseason's not over. We're still going hard. We're still got jobs to fight for. But I do agree with what you just said. If they try to keep this up throughout the season, that could be a problem.
Right.
And even yesterday's practice, we saw a couple guys get banged up. Jake Tonjes at one point was shaking out his ankle, didn't look too serious. Isaiah Coulter came down awkwardly after a nice catch he made, but it was out of bounds because it wasn't a great pass from Justin Fields. More on that in a second. But he came back. He returned. But that if you're going to practice like that, guys are going to get banged up.
Right.
And so I think that's going to be a fine line that they have to walk throughout the regular season. I like the fact that they're going to be tougher on them. I like the fact that they're going to continue to send those messages. But doing a practice like you had yesterday throughout the regular season could become problematic.
Right. Nick wrote a great piece last night as well about the hits philosophy and how that has changed things for the defense. And he talked about Tonga's interception return on Saturday. And I forgot which player said, like, normally that would not have happened in the past. Like, the effort wouldn't have been there in practice. You wouldn't have seen through the play. I think, like, on that play, a number of players escorted him down the field. That wouldn't have happened because, like, hey, it's not worth expending the energy in practice. Well, Eberflus has come in and said, well, you better expend that energy in practice, and if you do, you're going to be rewarded with more play. And you touched on that in the newsletter. Like, people are getting rewarded for their actual effort in practice.
Yeah, it's nice to see. The way we put it in the headline and in the newsletter, if you got this morning, was very sarcastically, stop making so much sense, Matt Eberflus. We're not used to this here in Chicago. It's a very weird thing that they keep doing things that make sense. Rewarding the players that are playing well. Like, okay, it's Evan Jenkins. Good job out there last week at right guard. You're going to stay there. Like Thomas Graham, I'd never forget that game last year against the Vikings. He plays well. You don't see him for 2 weeks.
Thomas Graham is going to be a Bears legend just for that one performance. You're going to be talking about him for 5 years from now, even though he's long gone from the team.
Yeah,
right?
well, meanwhile, he hasn't practiced like basically all training camp. He's still not back at this point. So, but look, all these good vibes, which we are feeling, we are talking about with this team, mainly for the decisions that are being made, which we talked about yesterday. Pleasantly surprised to see that the starters are playing Saturday night for an entire half. Again, just something that makes sense.
Right.
You had the offensive coordinator say last week the quarterback needs game reps, and then he got 7 passing attempts again on against Seattle. And we were talking about it post-game last week. We're like, well, was this because it was a short week, like Matt Eberflus said, and are they going to make up for it next week, or are they not going to follow through on what they're saying? Because that's kind of the example, Kev, is like Matt Nagy said a lot of things, but then in practice didn't really do it. So that sort of raised a red flag for me last week when you have the OC saying he needs to play, and then he only plays one series. So it's like, okay, are we putting the trust in the head coach that it's just the circumstances of it being a short week? Are they going to actually execute this next week against the Browns? Well, it sounds like they're going to execute it. They're going to let him play a full half. So the actions are going to follow what they're saying, and that is just refreshing.
Yeah. I'm going to be on the post-game show on Saturday night, so to hear that the starters were going to get an entire first half, I was like,
big for you.
Thank God. I was like, I don't know what we're going to talk about if Justin Fields doesn't play, if the starters don't get reps. Now we're going to have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Nick's going to be here. Braggs is going to be here. You're going to be at a family wedding, so I'm sure you're going to probably be posted up at the bar listening to everything we have to say. This
is kind of a remote wedding situation. There's some glamping involved.
Really?
Glamping?
No Wi-Fi is what you're saying.
We have some type of cabin in the woods on a lake in Minnesota.
Should Wi-Fi come with glamping? I feel like
glamping deserves Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're not out in the middle of nowhere. It's like outside suburbs of the Twin Cities. So there'll still be cell phone signal and things like that, which is more I could say at my wedding, which was House on the Rock in Wisconsin, which
really
it's kind of remote, but it's still like
in that one room that goes out to like nothing. Is that where you got
like
married?
The wintergreen spot on the top? It used to be
I was there like 25 years ago.
So it used to be an old ski hill, but up there was no cell signal. The reason why this mattered: Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final going on.
Oh no!
Bruins, Blackhawks.
They lost that game. You're fine.
There's one cell phone company that's still, well, it was big here because it used to have the name on the White Sox Stadium, but it's still big up in Wisconsin. That's U.S. Cellular.
Right.
So U.S. Cellular was the only one that you could get signal with, and because he was doing pre- and post-game for the White Sox then, Chris Ranji was the only one who had cell signal at this wedding because he had U.S. Cellular. So there's one person like giving the updates from the Blackhawks game to everybody.
This is a great Chicago media story.
This is
probably like information I didn't need to know, but I'm kind of glad that I do.
Yes, but weddings in June during the Stanley Cup Final are more acceptable than weddings during football season.
I like
family,
weddings,
man. I'm not gonna. You're the one's got to do the defending here.
Not really. They're Vikings fans, so it's one thing if the Bears have a game, but the Vikings actually play at the same time too. So it's very questionable. But that's neither here nor there. One of the questions I think we have to address, though, going into this game, going into this season, it's been a fun exercise to do these wide receiver power rankings. I'm really glad I did them.
It's kind of fun, yeah.
It was kind of just a random idea I had the first week we put the newsletter out. But it's been fun and also disheartening to track every week because I'm doing the rankings yesterday, and I'm like, okay, the number 2 guy. Okay, number 1's Mooney. Everybody knows that. Number 2 hasn't caught a pass in the preseason yet.
And has 37 career passes to his name.
9 last year.
Yeah.
That's Equinemius St. Brown.
One career touchdown.
Valens Jones can't stay on the field, can't stay in practice. It's a little concerning at this point. I like him, but, again, not practicing yesterday. Byron Pringle, haven't seen him in a couple weeks. He's number 4. Tajay Sharp, haven't seen him in a couple weeks. He's number 5. These are the guys at the top of the list, and none of them are available.
Your comments for Darnell Mooney was play him on Saturday or don't. They might not have a choice.
God bless Isaiah Coulter. He's out there.
Yeah.
He makes plays. Sometimes they're called incomplete, and they don't challenge him. But, hey, he's out there. He's making the plays. N'Keal Harry's next on the list. Not going to have him probably until October. Simba Webster might make the team. 0 NFL catches in his career. Dante Pettis, Chris Fink, Kevin Shaw. Those are the guys that you're going to see a lot in Cleveland. It's concerning.
It's not great. And, we're sitting here, and I think – we've got the good vibes going on some of these things that are happening with the new regime, and we're feeling good. I don't think the national media is going to ever get off the why don't the Bears have more weapons for Justin Fields. And I'm not necessarily – they probably shouldn't. I mean, we're going to see what happens once these games are for real and we see this offense in action. But you already have a thin crew of receivers, and then to have it be so banged up is – just not great. The load that Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet are going to have to carry is a little concerning.
Yeah, but it also makes me wonder who's going to be added to this roster still.
So what are the possibilities here?
Well, we did have a super chat I was going to save, but let's bring that in here.
There we go.
The Darius Slayton's name came up yesterday. Basically, you're just trying to track who might be available.
Wait, before I put this on the screen, is that even a receiver, or am I thinking of another Tate?
No, I think it is.
I'm thinking of Golden in my head now that I'm...
Golden Tate?
Yeah. But
I'm having internet problems, to be honest with you.
Jesse says, what about signing Auden Tate? Auden. Bear or not a Bear?
Not a Bear right now. Let's see. He is still a free agent. So, he just got cut. I see. Okay, the Falcons released him, so now we can have the reverse Bears thing. So the Falcons can come to Chicago as the Bears who get cut go to
Chicago
Atlanta.
Falcons.
Look, you're grasping here, but that's kind of what the Bears were already doing, right? Signing Equinemius St. Brown, signing Byron Pringle. That are hoping that it just sort of shakes out, taking a flyer on N'Keal Harry. And it might. I'm on record as saying I actually think, even at this point with all this concern, I still think the Bears wide receiver room should be more productive this year because I think Mooney's going to go to a next level, and I think that just the scheme alone will get guys open. I'm just saying, who the hell are the guys going to be who actually catch the passes? Fields is going to be throwing them to somebody.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity. I mean, if St. Brown is ever going to be anything in the league, now is your time. Yeah. I understand you were buried behind some other receivers in Green Bay, but, Pringle, if he gets on the field, same thing. it's just. Do you think they have too much faith in their scheme, though? Do you think you have too much faith in their scheme?
Do you think I do?
It's hard to say right now because we haven't seen the whole thing. We haven't seen it from.
See, this goes back to what we talked about at the start of the show, though. It's just they're doing things that make sense. You know, they're scheming things that are the quarterback's strengths. Okay, play action, boots, screens. Everyone's concerned about the offensive line, but it can look a lot different when you do things schematically to help your offensive line. That's what we were screaming about last year during the season that they weren't doing. So, again, no one's saying this is going to be a top 10 offense or even a top 20 offense. It should be better because they're going to do things that make more sense. And the obvious answer to this question we're asking is who the hell is going to actually catch the passes from Justin? Cole Kmet.
Right.
Like, he's going to have to do a lot. He's going to have to block. He's going to have to catch the ball. He's going to take a ton of hits after the catch, especially because he tends to be a guy who refuses to go down.
Yeah. I think one of the things like people really aren't talking about this year that I think is a plus, you go back to last year's training camp, Andy Dalton is the starter to start the season. Andy Dalton is a much different quarterback than Justin Fields, right? And going into last year, I thought, well, how the hell is this going to work? How are you going to hand off one offense system of an offense between two different quarterbacks? Now you have Justin Fields, the starter from day one. You're going around his talents. You're programming to his talents. So hopefully that pays off.
Yeah, I think that's the hope, but it's still like when you're sitting here a couple weeks from the season starting, you're like, wait a minute, everybody's hurt except the guys who I think you're going to cut. This doesn't seem ideal. It just doesn't seem ideal right now. All right, we got to tell you about our friends at PointsBet, of course. And PointsBet Sportsbook is counting down the days until the football season with a new offer every day until the season kicks off. From now until September 8th, PointsBet Power Hour will unlock a new daily offer from 12 to 1 p.m. Central. So we're in that window right now if you're watching live on YouTube. If you're catching the podcast later, that is the window you got to look for tomorrow, noon to 1 o'clock. Sign up for PointsBet now using the code CHGO to also get risk-free bets up to $2,000. Don't miss out on your chance to get daily access to free bets, boosted odds, and so much more now through September 8th. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you will receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. Download the PointsBet app today. Use code CHGO to take advantage of this limited-time offer. Don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER for crisis counseling and referral services.
So on yesterday's podcast, Will had his bet of the day, and he said to parlay the Cubs and Sox losing. Now, I assume he was talking about Cubs game 2. They did lose that game. The Sox.
Yeah, he actually was talking about the second game.
He was, okay.
Yeah.
And then both games went final. I texted him. I said, "Hey, did you bet that?" He said, "I wish I would have." I said,
well,
shit.
then you gotta ride with it.
I was actually going to do it because I thought, like, all right, I'm going to ride with Will, and I went to my account, and it didn't have a lot of money in it, so I didn't do it. So
well, that's not good.
Anyhow.
That's not good. I just chose to not watch Chicago baseball last night, and instead, does anyone know what yesterday was?
Chicago Sky, Game 3.
Well, yes.
Sky in 3.
Okay, I'm very embarrassed. I don't know if they won.
They won.
Okay, good.
They're on to the semis.
Here's why I don't know they won, though. I didn't know the White Sox won or lost until this morning, which, of course, they lost. But here's why. Yesterday was Top Gun Maverick Day. As soon as the kids were asleep, I made my wife sit down and watch that movie. She was so...
Oh, is it on digital now?
Oh, yeah, you can get it yesterday. You can buy it. It's not streaming for free anywhere yet.
Okay.
You have to buy it. Of course, I bought it. The movie's amazing. She was reluctant to watch it.
Yeah.
I said, honey, you got to trust me on this one. This movie is just good. I promise you it's going to be over. You're going to like it. And when it was over, she's like... Yeah, that was a good fucking movie.
I'm glad she enjoyed it.
It's really good. She's like, that plot was way better than the first one.
That's what I said.
Which was a point you made.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I actually agree with that. I still like the first movie, though.
Chicago, you already have the best coverage for your favorite teams with CHGO. So make sure you get fitted out in the best sports gear around. FOCO has you covered from Soldier Field to the front room, north side or south side or west side, with hoodies, slippers, signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. Get decked out like DeMar with apparel from the leader in sports merch and collectibles, FOCO. Looking for the perfect gift for the football fan in your life? FOCO has you covered with hoodies to fight that Lake Michigan breeze. Check out FOCO.com or click the link in the description below for all non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO for 10% off. I think a lot of this stuff that I actually brought in came from FOCO. There's like cool like Blackhawks bobbleheads. They like do like cool like one-off bobbleheads when they were winning championships. I'm a big fan of FOCO.
I remember
even
those
before
days.
this.
But back when I was getting married 9 years ago. You know what's kind of freaky to think about is that the Cubs World Series was 6 years ago.
Soon to be 7.
Yeah, what about the Sox?
Well, I don't want to talk about that. Yeah, all those same people employed, though.
I have a niece who was born the night the Sox
just keep
won
rolling it. Just keep rolling it back.
Yeah, I have a niece who was born the night the Sox won the World Series, and she's about to go to college soon. So
That's insane.
Yeah.
Run it back next year. It's unbelievable. All right. Real quick, last couple questions I think that matter this week is obviously with the offensive line. Can they continue that momentum that they've picked up? It is a different vibe. There's a positive vibe with this O-line, but I think they got to keep that momentum going, especially on that right side. Can Larry Borum, Tevin Jenkins have another good performance against the Browns? If they do, I fully expect them to be the starters against the 49ers in Week 1. And then with Justin Fields, you know, I've been talking about this. Like it's been kind of steady, not straight up, but you know, it's going up every single day, brick by brick, as Braggs would say. Yesterday, though, one of the bricks fell off, I think. Well, it wasn't his best practice.
with Fields, no.
Yeah, it wasn't his best practice. It's okay. Those days are going to happen.
It's a Tuesday.
Everyone was asking about the deflected passes that happened. One was deflected, I think, at the line in scrimmage, and it got deflected again, and then finally picked off by Kyler Gordon. The second one, though, was a short pass to Darnell Mooney, where I don't know what his rules are, so I don't want to say that he did the wrong thing. But on the right side, Cole Kmet was lined up against Matt Adams one-on-one. Linebacker Matt Adams one-on-one. And I was like, before the snap, I'm like, mismatch. Right there, mismatch. And he didn't even look that way. He went left to Mooney, and he threw the damn ball so hard. Mooney, it was like a flat, so it wasn't that far. Mm-hmm. And, okay, NFL wide receiver probably should have caught it anyway, but give the kid a better chance. And it went right off his hands and was picked up by Jalen Johnson. So there was just he was just off by that little amount. The ball I mentioned to Isaiah Coulter that went out of bounds, which Coulter managed to catch. It was a great catch, but should have been a touchdown. The ball drifted out of bounds, so what we would call a foul ball.
Sure.
So not the end of the world, but
I'd like to see Fields score. I want to see. He's only attempted 14 passes so far this preseason. I think last year we saw the glimpses and the raw talent. I'm not necessarily sure we've seen that in the first two games. So they've kind of kept things close to the vest, offensive wise. But let us see a little. Let us get excited because there's a little long layoff between this preseason game and then Week 1. So.
Plus, you might be able to catch the 49ers off guard a little bit, but you're basically running their scheme.
Right.
So you're not going to get away from the fact that the 49ers defense has been looking at this offense in practice every single day in training camp. So I don't really know. There's going to be some wrinkles here and there.
You saw them last Halloween. They killed you. So it's not going to be like the Bengals, that one season where they caught the Bengals. What was that, 2014?
That was last year, wasn't it? Oh, no. I thought you were talking about last year. They beat the Bengals.
Yeah.
They won last year, but they had a home opener against the Bengals, I think in 2014 or 2015, and the Bears caught them off guard.
But see, the first Nagy year, the first game in Green Bay,
right?
They came out with all this different stuff. They did have the element of surprise in their pocket. But honestly, the stuff that was surprising wasn't even really Matt Nagy Chiefs stuff. It was just sort of like, oh, they came out in the T formation. What the hell is that? And it was enough that it worked for a half. And by halftime, those coaches were able to adjust to it, and then you saw how the second half played out. So the point I'm making is I'm with you. Let's prioritize getting into the end zone. How about that? If you have to run a play you don't really want to call because you don't want to show it, that's not going to be the difference between you winning the Super Bowl this year. Okay, just make the progress you need to make. Get in the end zone. Let's see what that looks like. And I think that would help Justin Fields a lot too. All right. Hard Knocks was on again last night. This has, in my opinion, been one of the best seasons of Hard Knocks in years. In recent years, I think I've even failed to finish the season. I get excited about it. I watch the first few episodes. Feels like football's back. And then I don't even finish watching the fourth and fifth episodes.
Right.
This year's different. This has been legitimately entertaining. Dan Campbell is the Big Lebowski of the NFL. He talks like him. He acts like him. I love it.
The nameplate on his door says the dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But he's always like, man, we're going to do this, man.
He's one of those guys. If he was coaching the Bears, he'd already be the biggest star in Chicago, right? Regardless of what the Bears were doing.
Well, he's kind of Detroit's dick cut in a way without all the accomplishment.
Right.
Now, he didn't play in Detroit, although I think he may have spent a year there as a player. He bounced around a lot. I didn't even realize he had an 11-year NFL career.
I don't remember him, honestly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He was a tight end, right?
Yeah, tight end.
Yeah, I think he played for the Lions. Maybe
I think he had
Dolphins.
at least a year in Detroit. Maybe a couple years.
He was one of those fantasy waiver wire pickups where it's week 9 and there's 6 teams that are on bye and you're like, I need someone. Maybe this guy will catch a touchdown. And then he does not.
He never won you he never eked out a title for your team?
No, that'd be Greg Olson who did that for me. And I got a picture with him that night on Sports Sunday.
I think this Hard Knocks has been awesome because it's giving us a look into a division rival. Usually these Hard Knocks are really crappy teams, usually from the AFC. How many times have the Bengals been on? I don't need to know anything more about the Houston Texans.
The Cowboys are overplayed at this point.
The Detroit Lions, I like seeing behind the curtain.
I don't need to see Jerry Jones eating his McDonald's breakfast in the morning. Last year was a hard. I think I was out of Hard Knocks last year before the Cowboys even got back to Texas because they ship training camp in California.
The Cowboys they just bore me. Obviously, they have a huge fan base and a lot of national attention. And when I worked for Yahoo, it was like you would do anything about the Cowboys, and it would get 1 million clicks. So it was like, right about the Cowboys, right about the Cowboys. I don't care about the Cowboys. They haven't won a Super Bowl almost as long as the Bears haven't. So, I guess it's 10 years, but it's still 26 years they haven't won a Super Bowl. They haven't come close either.
Yeah. They can't even win a playoff game in Detroit. So,
I'm talking about Dallas. They can't win.
Oh, Dallas. Yeah, they're in that category too. All right, so we thought it'd be fun since the Bears will probably never be on Hard Knocks. Although at some point the NFL could force them to do it. This is where the McCaskies have not a lot of power in the NFL, but they have enough goodwill that they're not on the NFL's bad side. You know what I'm saying? The NFL, I don't think they'll force the Bears to do it. Also, quite frankly, the Bears would be boring.
Would they?
I think not to us. I'm talking about to others.
To everyone. I think that's why they should do it. I don't think you should look at this as a punishment. If they do get good in the next couple of years, I think the Bears should definitely do it. Are the Bears viewed as a cool brand nationally? No. So if Justin Fields makes this jump and becomes a star that we're hoping that he is, you need to put your brand front and center, particularly if you have a new stadium that you're looking.
I don't disagree. The Lions are. This has been very positive publicity for them.
It's amazing.
It's been a hit this year.
It's been amazing. What's that done for the Lions? You think of Aiden Hutchinson hasn't played a game yet. He's already a recognizable star on a national level. And that's great for the Lions. It's great for the NFL. And you want to look at like what the NFL does right and what other teams, don't do right. Like, look at this guy is a star, and he hasn't played a down yet already. So obviously he was the second round pick, but the second pick in the draft.
Well, we thought it'd be fun to kind of predict the predictable Hard Knock storylines, because in a lot of the ways, one of the reasons why it's soured on this show before this season is that the storylines are all the same every year. It's like, all right, who's the most affable guy you can have mic'd up the whole time?
And then Jack Sanborn story. You got to have the guy that's like an undefeated or undrafted free agent who's like maybe going to make the team. You got to focus on him.
Hometown kid.
Yeah.
But see, I've come to, I feel like more times than not, whoever they select like in the first episode to be that person gets caught. Like it's almost like okay, that guy's getting cut because Hard Knocks is focusing on him. Here comes the dramatic last episode cut scene that is coming.
Yeah.
Sanborn's not getting cut. Would you back off over there?
So they would have done a Daz Newsome storyline?
Okay, so another thing that's become popular is the rookies getting up to the front of the team and having to sing and say their signing bonuses. This isn't just the Lions doing it. But Aiden Hutchinson did knock that out of the park. Mm-hmm. All the credit. That was actually a cool scene. So I'm thinking for the Bears, Kyler Gordon's dancing would have to be featured.
Yeah.
In that type of thing. Like, or maybe he doesn't have to sing, but since he has that dancing background, like that's something that they would definitely focus on.
Gordon for sure.
Velus Jones visiting a retirement home, trying to find an apartment, obviously.
Yeah. He's just thinking ahead for his own well-being.
I would like the opportunity to just know more about the players and see that, I think Justin Fields, so much of what we kind of know about him is seen in these 15 and 30-second clips that he posts on his social media. It's him dancing. We haven't gotten really a deep dive. I think we know him, but I'm not sure that we do. Can you imagine Robert Quinn going through like an entire season storyline? Like that would be fun.
Robert Quinn. I would hope that they would focus on him. He's just so interesting.
Right.
He's one of the more interesting people in the world. I think that would be good. But like the hits philosophy would just be slammed in your face nonstop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the same way that right now with the Lions, they're the grit. That's how they started the first episode, grit.
Right.
It's all about, how hard they're practicing all the time.
One of the great things about Hard Knocks, though, is like there's stories you didn't know that you needed to know. And like last night, Craig Reynolds from the Lions, they had an entire sequence where he was FaceTiming with his older brother who's been in prison for 10 or 12 years. And his brother is sitting there giving him a pep talk. Don't make the same mistakes I did. I've made enough mistakes for me, you, the rest of our family. Like it was a really touching thing. And we don't know who on that Bears roster maybe has a story like that or something else, different. The adversity, no matter what it is that people overcome. That's what I really like about Hard Knocks is these usual faceless players. And there's a lot of faceless players on the Bears roster right now that we don't know about. We would be more invested in. So I really do kind of hope, like, as the Bears kind of go forward and their franchise continues to evolve, hopefully they do take this opportunity because I think it would be a good one.
There's so many things that they could get into that would be interesting that the Bears would just never, ever do. Like, what's Ted Phillips doing right now with the stadium? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, stuff like that. Like, inside a meeting on what they're talking. Like, and again, that would never, ever happen in a million years, but it would be really interesting stuff. It would make the Bears more interesting than they really are.
Yeah.
Like, I could think of a million ideas like that. That would be good.
Someone in the comments brought up, like, don't they have the football drive 1920 or whatever?
Yeah, but in that...
It's very sanitized.
It is sanitized, and it is kind of...
You're never going to see anything remotely controversial.
It's like a Hard Knocks knockoff with the most basic stuff
You're never going to see a coach chewing somebody out.
Yeah.
It's great. It's filmed well.
And I'm not
nice.
even knocking the Bears for that, but that's what you're going to get when you have an in-house production like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Hard Knocks, the team has some say over, hey, you can't show this, you can't show this. But like at the end of the day, it's still HBO.
Right.
That's putting out the product. And there are some things that come out that the teams probably aren't thrilled about. But, yeah, it's just – I find some of that stuff on that 1920 football drive stuff interesting. But
no, there has
there was last year when they focused on Darius Mack's music skills, and he got cut the same morning that episode came out. It's not funny, but it's kind of funny. Literally the same morning the episode.
They didn't value his musical skills as much as we would have thought.
Well, that's probably why they were focusing on his music skills and not his football skills. I don't know.
Do you know the most successful team from a Hard Knock season?
Like in terms of who actually won?
Who had the best season? The same season they were on Hard Knocks. I looked this up this morning.
I'm trying to think. Recently,
Did the Browns?
It's not recent.
No, it's not.
not
So it's not the Browns with Baker. Okay.
I don't know.
It was actually one of the better ones. 2010 New York Jets were 11-5.
Oh,
that was the best.
I don't
record
even remember
anyone's.
that season. Was that a Mark Sanchez team? Probably
Must have been. Yeah,
it had to have been.
They went to the AFC title game.
They had
against the Patriots.
With Rex Ryan as head coach.
Yeah, and the
Is that when
Rex's
the feet stuff came out?
Yeah,
it was Rex's feet, and then
I remember reading about that on Deadspin back in the old days.
Who was the Jets player with all the kids?
Antonio Cromartie.
Oh yeah. He has like
that was a whole big
he has
thing.
like 12
on there.
kids.
Where he couldn't remember, or they had him like naming all the kids. Yeah.
I gotta get an.
That was like right at the outset of Twitter. There's a lot of people talking about it, but yeah, they were 11-5.
Okay, Cromartie has 10 kids, according to Google.
Remember, he had a kid after he had a vasectomy.
No, wait.
That can happen.
I think he has 14 now. Google's wrong.
You're on an archive page from a few years ago.
Wikipedia says 14. Yeah. It's crazy.
Jeremy says Hard Knocks would be a distraction in the locker room. Do you agree with that? I don't.
I will say this. In last night's episode, they had a comedian named Josh Adams come in.
That was funny.
And he basically ripped everything that's been on the show so far, which was great. Like, he's making fun of Dan Campbell. He's like, yeah, we saw you do those up downs. Man, those last 6 didn't even count. You know, like you weren't really. You got to go all the way down. It's just little stuff like he said. Aiden Hutchinson looks like he's in a boy band. It's like, yeah, you guys got Justin Timberlake coming off the edge. You know, little stuff like that. That was pretty funny. So, but you could tell that it was all stuff that was in the show. So the players had obviously all seen it.
Wouldn't you watch it?
Yeah, I probably would. I don't know what's in there though that would have been a distraction necessarily.
I haven't watched all the episodes, but it is what it is. That's what training camp is. I think they do a pretty good job of portraying what training camp is. So
yeah. It makes sense. All right, I need to tell you about our awesome friends at Owen, which stands for Only What You Need. Owen is a 100% plant-based protein shake that gives you nutrition that works as hard as you do. All of their products are free of artificial ingredients. They're allergen-friendly, no gluten or dairy, and easily digestible. And we first heard about Owen here at CHGO from Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields, who follows a plant-based diet. Owen and CHGO have partnered up to give you an awesome offer. You can get 20% off your first purchase at liveowen.com with the code CHGO20. That is at liveowen.com, code CHGO20. Join us, CHGO and Justin Fields. Try Owen, only what you need.
They're good.
And we got to tell you about all the great stuff at CHGO that we got going on. Newsletter went out this morning, the Bears Things newsletter. If you're not already signed up for that, you can still check it out. If you are a member at allchgo.com, it is still posted on the website too. But if you are a member and signed up for it, you get it in your inbox. Kevin's got an awesome CHGO newsletter that goes out on Monday mornings, which hits on all of our teams, but usually this time of year has some great Bear stuff too that you're going to want to check out. And the CHGO podcast is coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, me and Luke Stuckmeyer and Casey Standahar, we're relaunching the CHGO podcast. So if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast feed, go check it, search for The Chicago Sports Podcast and subscribe to that one. And it's more of a general one. We're going to have a lot of fun with it, and I think it's going to be a little bit different than what we've been doing here.
And we got you covered on all the sports, including the Sky, which I should have known won last night. I was too busy watching Top Gun.
I'm pumped. I bought a Sky. I should have bought a Sky shirt before, but I actually filled out my collection. I have a Sky shirt, a Blackhawks shirt, and a Bear shirt coming. I hadn't gotten the Bear shirt to this point. And we have Bear shirts coming out, but they won't be part of this. New Bear shirts coming out soon. They won't be part of the sale.
I have this Sky shirt. I shouldn't have worn it today.
You do.
That was a fail by me. All right, well, as we do, ending every show, we answer some of your questions, any super chats that remain out there. We're going to end a little bit early today because I got to get to Halas Hall, and practice starts in like 40 minutes. But Isaac Siegel asked, actually, Lawrence, I'm going to ask you to read these if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, you didn't bring your readers, I see. Okay,
they're
so...
actually my far glasses.
Yeah,
but
Isaac Siegel, he throws us a $5 super chat. Thank you, Isaac. He says, what about Mike Gesicki? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
He says, I saw today they are shopping him. I know it's not a receiver, but still productive.
I mean, Mike Gesicki's a pretty good pass-catching tight end. I remember seeing him in person when Penn State came to Northwestern a few years ago and was like, yeah, that dude's an NFL tight end. He's been pretty productive for them. I actually haven't seen that they might be shopping him. The Dolphins might be shopping him.
He's franchise tagged with them.
Okay. Oh, so that makes sense.
Seems like a little bit of a luxury now, or
what are they going to do? They already lost Adam Shaheen. Couldn't pass his physical. They tried to trade him. What are they going to do? They need him. Seems like I think the Bears are kind of happy with their tight ends right now, to be honest with you. I think they feel great about what Cole Kmet's going to become in the passing game. Ryan Griffin's sneaky in that area and a good blocker. You can never have too much depth, but Gesicki's going to want to go somewhere where he's going to get paid, and that's kind of the role that Cole Kmet already has.
He's a pretty good pass catcher, but I think it's luxury at this point, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just saying that I don't think they're going to pay Mike Gesicki
You're not going to sign him to a long-term
big tight
deal
end
right
money because they have Cole Kmet,
right?
Who they think is going to.
I don't think you should. Yeah, even if you didn't right now, I don't think you're going to cut that check.
All right, Robert Lee has a question. How about making a move for Giants wide receiver? It's Darius Slayton. He might not make the cut out there in New York, and he has a connection with our receivers coach, Tyke Tolbert. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like Slayton. I think he would kind of be another guy, though, that you're just sort of hoping to change the scenery. New opportunity could pay off. I think the hope is that some of these guys are going to end up being interchangeable within the scheme. So if he is cut loose, I think that's the honestly I think that's the type of receiver that you could see added. Guys like that, or maybe surprise cuts around the league that the Bears go after, or maybe claim off waivers.
I saw someone when Daz Newsome got released saying, "Okay, well maybe like a change of scenery will help Daz Newsome." The dude was a 6th-round pick. Like
I know, he's a 6th-round pick who has been on the Bears through 2 years where they have awful wide receivers. Like if he was good, he'd be on the field.
Right. In a banged-up wide receiver row.
Someone said yes. Actually, our friend Herb Howard, who actually I felt like I needed to check in on him yesterday. He's a big Daz guy. He has this bet that Daz was going to catch 40.
Bet.
What did he say?
Yeah, and I just felt bad for the guy, and he said, which you'll hear coaches and GMs say all the time. He goes, "Yeah, Daz cut himself."
He kind of did.
That's what NFL personnel guys will say though. You end up cutting yourself. He did, though. He couldn't catch the ball.
I was on Monday's show, and you guys were talking about, like, the wide receivers, and I wanted to say then I thought Daz was going to be cut any minute, but I'm not out there at Halas Hall as much as you guys were, so I didn't want to overstep my bounds. And then the news kind of came out, and I was like, oh, I should have said that.
Look, there's a handful of plays that happen every preseason where you're like, oh man, I actually feel bad for that guy because that dude just lost his job.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm being dead serious. Like when Daz muffed that punt against the Chiefs, I'm like, oh man, that's it. And like he kind of came on strong the rest of that game, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like you're so far on the bubble, you have that one play, that's it, man.
That would have been good Hard Knocks material.
All right, what else we got? That would have been.
All right, next up, this is from John Johnson. Would you prefer the Bears to pick up a better wide receiver next week or better O-line players?
Both.
Yeah, why not both?
Next question.
Okay. Let's see. Next question.
I just saw some
Here we
traffic
go.
about Eau Claire.
Hold on.
Oh, no.
This kind of follows that. So what is your confidence level in Braxton Jones going into the season for you, Adam?
Well, look, I addressed this in the newsletter this morning, too. I feel great. This has been a great story. It's been awesome, but it's going to look different when Nick Bosa's coming after you at you week one. And yes, you're practicing against Robert Quinn. I think that has put him in a great position. But when the bullets are live and you also you got Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa running a stunt together, there's going to be some growing pains. But my confidence level is relatively high with Braxton Jones that this is going to work out. And despite probably some bad plays here and there, I think that this positive story will continue into the season.
All right, a couple late super chats coming in. This is from Joe, who's $4.99. Thank you, sir. Why all the national media hate the moves Poles has made all make sense through the lens of a multi-year rebuild, cap, draft capital, etc.
Look, you got to understand that there's very few people that really have the resources and the time that can dive into every single team that's what's really going on behind the scenes like we've been covering here on CHGO on a daily basis, since March. And they're just not going to have the same grasp for why moves are being made. From the national media perspective, they see all the crap that happened the last 2 years, which was rightly criticized, all right? And then they saw a GM get hired who then didn't really make a lot of splashy moves.
Yeah.
So that's easy to shit on. And the one thing I did agree with, like Bears Twitter last Thursday in that game against Seahawks, I felt what they were feeling in that ESPN came into the game thinking that, like, hey, here's a team we're going to be very critical of about a lot of different stuff.
They never pivoted.
Never. But then the Bears looked pretty damn good for the entire game, and it was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So
a lot of this just kind of has to do with goodwill. Like, what have the Bears done to engender goodwill?
They haven't earned it.
The Seahawks obviously are in a worse, in the same or worse position than the Bears are, but they've been better more recently, so they kind of got the benefit of the doubt for whatever reason, even though they don't deserve it, right? So that's just kind of how it works. When you have national people covering 32 teams, it's really hard to cover all 32 teams at a very granular level.
Yeah. It is, and I have a lot of respect for those that do that, but you're just not going to have the same, like, almost like instinctual feel for what's right and what's not as the moves are happening. Yeah. All right, next question.
And that's why smash the like button, everyone who's watching. Thank you. This next one is from E. She says, does anyone know if Flu's confirmed about the captains?
I have not heard that. I think that's kind of a question once the regular season starts usually.
Are they going to be set captains? It's not going to be the every week thing?
We don't know, because when I asked that question in the offseason, he said he hadn't decided yet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that leads us to Brian's question. Does Flus have a sense of humor? A news guy made a joke about the injury list. He didn't even crack a smile. I thought it was funny, though.
I'm not sure which question in particular, but I have noticed that with the injuries. Flus can joke around here and there a little bit. Not a lot. A little bit. And that's not one of the things he's joking around about.
He's not the dude.
So, no, he's not the dude. He's not the dude. All right.
All right, we're going to end it with Isaac, $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Isaac. Hoge, lots of one-lane traffic from Eau Claire to Minnesota on 94 for your
information. Thanks for the heads up.
Wait, not only did he give you a heads up, he spent $5 to give you the heads up.
I really appreciate that.
You need to, pay Venmo him $5 for that.
Well,
Isaac's your ways.
I appreciate the information, Isaac, but I don't feel like I need to pay him when I can use the Maps app on my phone for free.
Is there a way around it? What if he gives you a way around it?
Yeah,
well,
Waze will
I
have
would
you
generally know the way around it
Okay.
up there. My sister actually lives up there between Eau Claire and the Minnesota
You ever stop
border.
at the Norski Nook for a pie?
I've driven by it 1,000 times. I've never stopped.
Oh.
Should I stop?
Yes, but bring your own pie tin because they charge you like $7 or $8 to buy their pie tin. If you don't bring your own pie tin.
That's good info right there. I would not have known that.
That's free.
And you know me, I'm always carrying my pie tin around, so I'm prepared.
I would like you to bring one of these pies back. I'm excited. I don't know
Aren't
what
there
kind
a
of
couple
pie.
of them?
Yeah,
There's one in the forest, which is actually where my wife's from.
They're it's.
They're the Norskis there.
Remember, like you're probably too young to remember. Like, remember Poppin' Fresh?
I love Poppin' Fresh.
What the hell happened to Poppin'? It became Baker Square, but it wasn't as good.
I believe Poppin' Fresh, if I'm not mistaken, I was in there as a small child, and they give you the little kids menu you can draw on and all that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's where I learned that the Milwaukee Brewers glove logo was an M and a B. I'm pretty sure it was on my menu, and I was like, what? And it just blew my mind. And then I had some French silk pie. Delicious stuff.
Nice.
What's the logo that took you the longest to figure out? I think for me it was actually the Montreal Expos logo.
I was going to say that's up there. That I had no
I mean,
idea.
the M
that
was
an
obvious,
M.
but I didn't realize that the rest of it was
lowercase e. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
think
probably that
Expos,
Brewers logo.
Expos might be up there. That's like a recent thing.
That's if there's one team I want to come back in sports, it's the Montreal Expos.
Hartford
Whalers.
Whalers. See?
That's another good one.
Or the Nordiques. Sorry,
Nordiques would be
DNVR.
cool.
Send them back to Quebec.
The Whalers moved to Carolina, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And they do.
The Nordiques became the
Avalanche.
Avalanche.
Did I see that they're doing like a Hartford Whalers jersey that's
That's what I was gonna say. Why can't
Carolina
Carolina be the
colors?
Whalers?
No, they do Whalers nights in Carolina. It's just not. It's not the same. It's just. I don't know.
My buddy Frank Schwab goes nuts like whenever people like talk nostalgia about some of these defunct teams. He's just like, if anyone cared about them, they wouldn't have moved.
Yeah. The Oilers is another one.
Oh, I love the Oilers.
I wish
Oh
when
my
the Texans came back,
Yeah.
when the Texans started, I wish they'd done what the Browns did, where the Browns were just, okay, we're technically a new franchise, but we're going to be the Browns. And then, like, Houston
Now, that's
could've-
probably because he couldn't copyright a color, is my guess on that. But I
Well,
don't
Bud
know.
Adams
That's
owned
me.
it, right? Is that? I think that's what that
I
was,
don't
and he
know.
didn't let it go.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Which one of these teams is going to be the second team in Chicago playing at Soldier Field in the stadium that definitely will not be built? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe the Jaguars. We're out of here. Thanks for watching today. We appreciate it. Make sure you check out all our content at allchgo.com. And we'll be back tomorrow at noon. CHGO Bears. Appreciate you guys being here. And noon tomorrow. I'm just trying to think ahead. Game Saturday.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. I'll be stuck in traffic apparently between Eau Claire and Minnesota.
Enjoy the pie.
See you tomorrow.